Hi everyone, welcome to the Classic Bookcase, a channel that shares knowledge and comprehensive personal development through good books and videos. Today, I will continue to share about the famous psychology book. In the first part, we talked about the decisive factor for a person to truly grow up, which is self-discipline, including 4 principles for self-discipline. Dinh, postponing self-gratification, being responsible for being honest with the truth, and maintaining balance in life. Today, we will continue to learn the second important factor to be able to be an adult, which is knowing. There is one thing to note, that understanding real love is closely related to self-discipline. In this part, I will not again. If you haven't listened to part 1, you can go back to the previous video and listen to today's episode to have a general overview of your own necessary path to maturity. Now let's get into the first content of today's video. Is your love healthy? First, we will answer this question. Why is a certain adult must be a person who knows how to truly love? The author says that love is the willingness to constantly expand one's own boundaries and achieve self-improvement in order to promote the mental maturity of oneself and others. True love must be a process of growth for you and your partner. Looking deeper, you can see the power to urge yourself to become disciplined. Consciously face suffering to grow. That is also love. That is, love will give you the motivation and opportunity to grow. Therefore, only when you understand what true love is, will you have true love. Deeply mature, but in reality, most of us do not know how to truly love someone. The entire content of the sharing article will focus on the following issues. First, discuss common misunderstandings in love to see if you are loving in a healthy way. Second, the expressions of love, what is true. Third, stop being lazy to walk the straight road. This is more like a feeling of dependence where you attach your feelings to yourself and others if there is no reciprocation. If it suits your needs, you will become a mother who says she loves her child so much that when he studies, he does everything for him. He's about to go to college. After graduating, I worry about where my child will work. When I get married, I worry about who my child will marry. When my child gives birth, I worry about hundreds of grandchildren. Many parents still think that they have to take care of their child for the rest of their lives, otherwise they can't rest assured. It can't be called love. This is excessive concern. In fact, the nature of excessive attention is also a dependence. Because people like this actually depend on caring for their children to find love. Looking for a feeling of one's own existence or being in love with someone or caring like where do you go and who do you meet. Everyone needs to let you know that you must immediately reply to messages and are not allowed to be with the opposite sex. This is not called love. Behind jealousy and excessive sensitivity is not love but possession. It is also a form of dependence. You have deposited a sense of security in the other person. In short, care. Excessive dependence and possessiveness are not manifestations of love. If the psychology of love becomes serious and extreme, it will become a disease called negative dependent personality disorder. This is a disease. Psychological symptoms commonly seen in our lives. People with negative dependent personality disorder always need an external object to feel their existence and then be able to assert their position of themselves in life, and when they find this person, they will hold on tightly and not let that person leave them. Dr. B has a patient whose wife just passed away. He is extremely miserable. Let's go to the doctor and say, I love my wife very much, but she left me alone. What should I do? But I haven't been with her for a long time. Suddenly told the doctor, I'm no longer sad and now I feel bad. It turned out that at a nightclub there was a woman who said she loved him and now he has found himself again. This type of person is a person with negative dependent personality disorder. If you just broke up and already have the feeling that you have to find someone to fill the gap, then please be careful like the man above. Love for him has nothing to do with other people, but in essence, what this person wants is just to be loved, to have a feeling of existence and prove themselves. People who are always wondering how to get love, but they themselves are not capable of truly loving others, are just like that. Another hungry person who is emotionally needy always reaches out and wants to receive. These people often feel lonely, even when they are maintaining a relationship with someone, because they think they are not worthy. Love fully and no one really understands them. They are also very suspicious of other people's feelings for them, so just being denied something will feel extremely painful and sad in the end for the whole life in their lives. These people will always need to find someone to be by their side, someone to depend on, to hug tightly as their emotional support, and all of this is not love. The second thinks that the feeling of love is to love. Many people love easily but also easily break up. They think, of course, that if you have feelings, if you love all the feelings, then they are compatible. If love is not compatible, then break up. People often make mistakes, thinking that feeling is love and compatibility or not is a judgment to be able to continue, but in fact emotion is just desire, because you evaluate whether they are compatible or not. Behind that it is just a need and demand to meet. The reactions of these things themselves are not true love. However, we should not think that desire is a completely bad thing. Whether it is desire or dependence, it is also the foundation to start love. Why is it? Say so because, as mentioned above about the author's definition of love, love is a process of constantly expanding one's own boundaries. Pay attention to the phrase, self's boundary. When you were first born, you and I are both, there is no clear boundary of self-awareness. When you wave your hand and feel the whole room moving with you, that's because we are not aware of the difference between ourselves and the outside environment. We feel ourselves. The whole world and ourselves are closely linked to everything around us, but when we get a little older, we gradually begin to realize that our existence is separate from the outside environment. For example, you may discover that when he swings his arm, the room no longer moves with him. Similarly, when a child cries for help, his parents may not guess that the child is hungry and do not immediately feed him. Through such experiences, during this period, children begin to realize that they are different from others and that their needs and feelings are not always met. Therefore, during this period, children often consider themselves the king of the family and the center of their lives. The universe always requires everyone to follow its will, or else it will cry and be angry. In fact, this does not prove that this is a bad child, but because the child does not fully understand the boundary between himself and others. On the other hand, it believes that you and your family are one, so you expect everyone to automatically know and satisfy your own needs. Gradually, as we grow up, we increasingly feel that our own boundaries become clearer. Especially when we reach puberty, we will close that world because we suddenly realize that this world is only me, even my parents and friends don't understand me, they are completely unaware of my feelings. Therefore, people begin to fall into a deep sense of loneliness until they have their first crush or when they meet someone and are attracted to them. At this time, we still use words like "you are crush," "someone is falling in love," and we think that this feeling of heart racing is love, but actually the initial attraction process often creates hallucinations. Because at this time, the body secretes many types of hormones that make your mood excited. Beating faster physiological changes will boost your emotions and allow you to temporarily open your own boundaries so that the other person can get closer to you, but after just a few months this boundary can gradually fade. Closed because the hormonal stimuli have subsided, you realize that that person is very different from you. That person's thoughts are different from mine and conflicts gradually arise if at this time you do not learn how to discipline yourself. If a relationship allows two people to have more opportunities to grow up, if they continue to close their boundaries, love will end here and you will not have the opportunity to know what real love is. Through this, we can understand: why do so many people fall in love so quickly and break up so quickly? Many people still have a perception that true love requires giving with conditions through forgiveness and tolerance of all. Some people even develop a type of love called self-sacrifice. There is a case like this: a wife has a husband who is very abusive. Every time they are discovered, they always argue. But after 5 or 7 times, the husband only needs to sorry, the wife forgives, then the doctor discovers that the wife has a tendency in the opposite direction, meaning that she sees sacrifice as love, thinking that as long as she can give and be patient, she can get these things. Where do these things come from? It also comes from childhood experiences. If there is a picture, the example is that their parents also did the same when growing up. Many people will always complain about self-sacrifice and then constantly pamper the person they love, even if the other person has done anything wrong in love. If you forgive the other person no matter what, and forgive their mistakes unconditionally and without limits, it means you still don't know how to truly love, and you are also creating a negative factor, causing the person you love to not have a chance to grow up. The second, third generation, thinking that sacrifice is love. Stop trying to self-discipline, then gradually the feeling of temporary love can become true love, bringing about a common growth of mind and spirit for both. Finally, this is the most difficult part to understand. The fourth part is that thinking that total concentration is true love. Why is it like that? Because total focus on one person is quite similar to total love, which is when you focus your emotions and care on an external object and consider them a part of yourself. But no matter what, complete concentration and true love always have a certain difference. Firstly, the difference is that the object you allow to focus completely on is not only people but also material things. There is no soul or emotion. For example, loving money, loving stocks, loving titles, loving the feeling of beauty, etc. When you love these things, you can also completely focus your attention on them. So if you have all your heart for one person but only do so because you want to achieve some other external goal, that is not true second love. When you focus completely on an object, you don't necessarily care to the maturity of the tri-mind. For example, a mother puts great focus on her child, takes care of her child, and makes her believe that everything she thinks and arranges is best for her child. This process is only concentration. Undivided attention is not true love because the mother has neglected the development of independence in her child. Finally, undivided attention can also be related to responsibility. One can focus cares about you at one time, but that person is not willing to accompany you to the end. This person's focused spirit for you can disappear at any time. If you are still satisfied, then if you are tired of being together, then break up. Then this is definitely not love. So in the end, what is true love? True love is a complete focus, but it needs to be guided by wisdom, carrying responsibility to the end and needing you. Investing and dedicating all of your life so that the person you love can grow up, you need to try your best. Only real investment and dedication are an effective way to turn the feeling of love into love. True love will always have to face many choices, whether to continue or not to break up, not to accept living together day by day with full of blame. It is still better than breaking up without having to face the difficulties. Only wisdom and responsibility can make a choice like this, give two people the opportunity to turn the journey of meeting and being together into a real love story. For example, when it comes to adultery, which easily happens in love and marriage. The author gives the following opinion: if I meet a girl and have a strong feeling of liking her, I will tell her that I really want to love her. But I will not do so because I had my wife and family. This is real love because when faced with a choice, you have wisdom, and the responsibility to guide you is when you are able to recognize the feeling that is motivating. What you have out there is actually just a desire to satisfy something within you. That's when you are willing to let go of that satisfaction and self-discipline to constantly make the current relationship closer, and stronger. But it's not like that, thinking that I'm having an affair but still responsible for my wife and children, right? Remember that the first condition of true love is complete concentration. Investing in an object then needs to be developed with wisdom, responsibility, and continuous investment, so in the end, in love, you have to invest in something. Wisdom and responsibility are needed to understand these things. You also need to invest in something. To know what the manifestations of real love are, first of all, real love requires investing in listening, which means you need to take the time to listen carefully to the other person and show respect. Of course, this does not mean that you cannot interrupt the other person, but you need to have a certain level of control over this. Previously, the second expression was respect for independence. If you cannot respect the independence of the other person, you will easily rely on that person and constantly control and possess in all aspects. Respect for independence in love is extremely important, which means you have to be able to allow the other person to be an independent person. They are not an extension of you nor a part of you. Third, this is what I think is the core. The most important thing is to let go of self-love, that is, not only pay attention to your own emotions and live in your own world. Here is a story that makes people scared but is also very common in real life like this. A little girl had suicidal tendencies and went to see a doctor for treatment. After a while, she saw that her condition had improved. The doctor happily told the news to her mother. As a result, The mother cried and said, "Oh, my daughter's so pitiful, she has been suffering for so many years." The doctor said, "No, sister, your daughter has almost recovered. This is good news. Alas, you didn't know what my daughter had to endure." After many conversations, the doctor suddenly realized that the problem was not with the girl but with the mother. One time, the girl showed off to her mother that she had excellent grades in drawing. The mother told her to go to sleep quickly. "Lately, you've been working so hard on these pictures. What school is that? It doesn't care about the student's health." There was a time when the girl was upset and told her mother that a male friend was teasing her on the bus at the school. The girl's mother said Uncle Bury was the most suitable driver, but she didn't expect that he could still endure the children playing with their mouths in the car. Actually, in a relationship, many people are just loving their own big egos and not loving others. It is necessary to clearly distinguish between narcissism and self-love. These two are different. Narcissism means quickly responding to one's desires, and self-love means being able to self-discipline. Postpone satisfaction. Being complacent and immediately suppressing the demands of the ego will lead to personality disorders, and self-love will be the foundation for you to grow up and truly love others. The fourth expression of love. Taking risks is essential. There are people who, after losing a loved one or after a breakup, will be especially afraid of establishing a close relationship. Or there are people who are afraid that if they love too deeply, they will fall in love. Investing too much in one person means risking loss and getting hurt. A typical example is people who like the feeling of a one-night stand and want to just date but don't want to get married, etc. In fact, if they don't accept it, taking risks and being willing to expand your own boundaries to integrate with others, it is very difficult to truly mature in love, and the final expression is being willing to face the risk of conflict. If two people just need love to be less lonely, love to prove that you have a lover, when conflicts arise, it's easy to break up. If you want to move on, both of your hearts must constantly grow. Your gender must become stronger. Expand and unite with the other person. At this time, you will definitely have to face a lot of conflicts. Many people are afraid of conflicts, and love is very superficial. You do your work, I worry about mine, without any sharing of thoughts or feelings. I think that a calm relationship without arguments is very good, but in reality, both people are lacking a deep connection. This is just a form of avoiding their own problems, so true love requires us to use self-discipline and the ability to delay gratification to remain willing to face conflict. Stop being lazy to go all the way. Not many people have gone. The above are myths about love and the manifestations of true love, but it must be noted that whether it is self-discipline or love, it always requires you to persevere and practice until the end to truly achieve maturity. It's not a one-way thing, nor is it just by listening to philosophies that you can succeed. If you want to step on the path to adulthood, you need to overcome what the author calls your original mistakes. People on the path of life are lazy. We still know that laziness is not good, but we still do not realize the danger of accumulating a little indulgence every day. It is like a time bomb that will eventually explode, ending with a painful explosion. The author explained that the natural development direction of this world is to increase entropy from the point of view of physics. The energy of the universe constantly disperses from order to chaos and then gradually. For example, no matter how neat you clean your house, after 2 or 3 days it will definitely fall apart again, and this is the process of increasing entropy. But then you try to maintain the cleaning, it is a process of reducing entropy. If there is no measure to reduce entropy and not make life less chaotic, then it is laziness. The core psychological motive behind human laziness is fear. Not being able to do well, afraid of losing, afraid of having to endure pain when solving problems, etc. The more afraid you are, the more you immerse yourself in laziness and cannot free yourself. What is worrying is that laziness is in accordance with human nature. When faced with difficult tasks, choosing to be lazy will make people feel relaxed and happy. When people choose to procrastinate, avoid, or give up, they are actually choosing laziness. If we choose self-discipline and love, we need to face difficulties directly. Because of this, the path to mental maturity is not always easy, so it is called the path of not many people. After all, everyone likes the direction of increasing entropy, having a comfortable life right away, liking the feeling of having everything without much effort, but actually increasing entropy means that your life is becoming more and more chaotic and chaotic. Finally, one day it will explode. Laziness will only make you live in an illusion. Reflect on each moment we are living. How many times have we seen mistakes and still continue to make the same mistakes? Sliding downhill just to satisfy ourselves in immediate pleasures. How many times have we lived without the principle of continuously tolerating and sacrificing for someone else? How many times have we been just for ourselves, turning others into a different version of ourselves? How many times have we not dared to change and refuse the maturity that life teaches us and creates opportunities for us over and over again? Suffering needs to be overcome, but the biggest opponent is not the ups and downs of fate but oneself. If a person does not want to change, no matter how much help, money, or wealth there is around, there are many opportunities. No matter how full you are, you can only take a vicious detour in the maze of life and end up in suffering. The author used the whole book The Road Less Traveled to tell us that everyone can refuse anything but never refuse to grow. Refusing to change is essentially avoiding the problem. Running away from pain and suffering is not really scary, but refusing to grow is painful. Always remember that self-discipline and true love are the most powerful antidotes to the pain of actively enduring. Difficulties are a challenging process, but in the end, all of this will bear fruit for you. The name of this pineapple called the strength of the soul. In other words, when you gain strength in the soul through love and self-discipline, you will be able to truly grow and achieve many more achievements on life's journey. Thank you for listening to the channel that shares knowledge for comprehensive development through good books. If you find today's video useful, please share it with those who need it. Support me with a like, follow, and turn on notification bell to watch my latest videos every week. And if you have any feelings or thoughts, please share them in the comments section below. Thank you, goodbye, and see you in the next videos.